Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers to Podcast Life, the battlefield, where we explore the front lines of life, biggest challenges and victories. Today, I have a truly amazing guest in studio, but let me start introducing my guest this way. Imagine you are born with a gift to be the smartest person, most intelligent person who doesn't need to put so much effort in school, homework, to achieve results overall. My guest, he belongs to the group of the people who are geniuses because of his IQ. However, that gift brings the burden of feeding on alter ego, breeding arrogance. And what that brought to my client? Misery. My client needs to fall to the bottom of society, become the homeless, to learn the lesson. And he's sharing today with us how to survive on the cold streets of Toronto, how he contemplated that his life is not worthy anymore, how to live on a $1 per day, and how the hope found him at the end, why he didn't lose the faith, and in darkest moments where he was fearing for his life has changed. And today he's sharing these lessons with all of you guys, how to be happier, successful, how to do affirmations as a part of your life, and how to survive in the most challenging times. My guest today, J-Ryze. Let's dive in. Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers to Podcast Life, the battlefield. As I mentioned before, today I have the truly amazing guest in my studio. I need to check actually on a ask the holy grail of the knowledge, Dr. Google, what is the IQ to be average, smart, and list goes on. And today I have somebody who has one of the highest readings, actually. It's 147, belongs to the group of the high readings. But being the smartest tool in a shed doesn't necessarily mean that it always brings the well. So Jay, welcome from the Canada to Sydney.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today and finding the way to this secret location. So Jay, I don't know where to start with you. Seriously, like this is unusual. Like, you know,
I got you speechless already.
Are you dead? Speechless.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go start from the beginning. High IQ, Jay from Canada. Who is J-Ryze from Canada?
Who is J-Ryze from Canada?
Canada, yes.
Technically Toronto, if you want to get specific.
Okay.
As a child, I was raised by two very devoutly Christian parents, and they wanted to do a good job parenting, and they wanted to create some smart children. So they taught me many things early, and whether it was their teachings or natural talent or a combination of both or their intentions, I ended up being quite quick-witted, like intelligent. And they put me in the gifted program for school. You pass a test, they test your IQ, and if it's above a certain level, you qualify as gifted, and you go into a special school with special classes and special teachers and all this kind of thing. Sounds awesome. Oh, you know, smart guy.
I couldn't be I couldn't be your friend then. Yeah. I'll go in the other classes.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, like, it is. Okay, please share.
But as a kid, you don't think that way. As a kid, I don't really feel special. I don't think anything different. I have other kids my age. I play with them. If I meet, like I had two brothers and a sister. And so one of my siblings, my brother Nick, he also qualified for the gifted program, but my brother Drew and my sister Meg did not qualify. So half my family was gifted and half was normal, but to me it was all the same. Like I can't tell the difference between my brothers and sisters and me. But eventually you start to realize that you're faster than the other kids and things come easy to you and you don't have to do homework and you can pass tests like nobody's business. And it started to give me an ego.
Okay.
It made me feel superior. I would be like, oh, how come they can't understand? How come it took them so long? How come I can do this easy? I'd want to go out and play. They have to do homework. Oh, mine's already done. And I start to feel cocky and arrogant. But because I was sharp-minded, I was able to manipulate my image or my facade and to appear kind and nice and friendly, and my egocentric ways didn't really shine through. You had to be observant to catch it.
Yeah.
So that let me hold on to the arrogance for even longer. Like, first I became arrogant because of my intelligence, and then my intelligence let me mask it to hold on to it.
What would you masking actually? What would you masking?
I'm masking like bitterness and cynicism and superiority. You know, like I would use my skills to make friends with all of the different cliques and clubs. Friends with the jocks, friends with the music hall, friends with the drama team, friends with the scientists, friends with the nerds, like friends with the computer guys, whatever. And they all somehow loved me because I was like a chameleon, just...
You were just adjusting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't really my authentic self. I was just putting on a mask to get along with people. And it made me very popular. Everyone in the school loved me. But it wasn't fulfilling, and it wasn't healthy. And deep down, I thought I was better than everyone anyways. Like, that never goes away. I had this feeling. I'm so smart. I'm so much better. It's terrible, man. Like, this is not good.
Yeah.
I was not a nice person, but I looked like a nice person, and I pretended to be a nice person.
Okay, that's a good one. So you pretend you're a nice person. You will look like as a nice person, but
I was not a nice person.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had some elements of kindness. Like, my parents raised me to be polite and to believe in God and to do good things and to be loving. And I wasn't like some kind of evil villain, but I was just selfish and egocentric. And I had a very conceited, arrogant bitterness streak, but I masked it. And so that meant I ended up doing fairly well in school, and I got a good job. When all my friends went to university, I ended up with a high-paying web design job because I was smart and techie and talented, and I deliver results fast, and you know, it was pretty easy to get hired. And there was a connection, or a friend of a friend put me in touch, and I ended up making, back then it was a lot, $60 an hour. For a high school kid, this is insane. Like, I was spending money left and right, buying my friends stuff. I thought I was king of the world, and it just made me even more arrogant and superior.
Can I just stop you here?
Yeah, anything really.
I met a lot of people in my life. I think pretty sure we all met a lot of people in our lives.
Well, you probably met more.
Well, it is because, you know, when I was working in military interrogations and in diplomatic intelligence, and you know, you're meeting people on a different levels and different level of society. In contrary to you, I was being labeled as a, you know, as a useful idiot, right? You know what I mean? Because, well, the thing is, doesn't matter. In society, I was born in Croatia. If you don't have university, right, you can be dumb as much as you want, but if you have an university, you know, like title before your name, you're a moron, like literally moron. The society downgrades you like a software. I mean, you're never gonna reach some heights. You know what I mean? So now listening to you takes a lot of courage. I'm saying, like, you know, the courage, it's a mental faculty, and lots of people don't understand. There's a difference between bravery and courage. But I'm admiring people as you, because it takes a lot of balls to say, yeah, I mean, you know, you said I pretended to be nice, to look nice, to be kind, but under the surface, you were the, you know, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
I was bitter.
Yeah,
cynical.
You're bitter, cynical. Then you say, like, I make $60, I buy everything and everybody, you know, making money, but it was not fulfilling.
No, it made it worse. Because now I got the smarts and the money, and I'm just like, I feel invincible. I feel like I'm the best human walking the planet, and so now my ego is huge, right? I got a big head.
Okay.
And all my friends are going to university, and they're like, oh, we got university loans and debts and bills, and it's so much homework, and the teachers are mean, and what. I'm like, I didn't go to university. I'm making a ton of money. I'm super smart. You guys are dumb. Like, you see what I mean? It just gets worse and worse. And I even got a Spirit Award from York University without attending, because I helped them, and I helped their newspaper, and I helped some of the students there, and I was involved in the university as like a third-party contractor. Like, I was doing work for them. I made their website. And so they awarded me like the plaque, the Spirit Award, J. Fonseca, like Spirit for York University. I'm like, yo, man, I got the money. I got the smarts. I'm getting awards from universities that I don't even go to. And it just got worse and worse. But eventually the job ran out. The money ran out. I moved in on my own. Like, I had more rent than I could pay. And it was like, I guess I'd just get a grocery job or a warehouse job or something mediocre, like humbling, something humbling.
Yeah.
But I still had that streak. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm the best person in the grocery store. I'm the best person at this warehouse. Like, it stayed. It didn't go away. Until eventually I got really fed up and pissed off with taking orders. Because my personality is like...
To be here.
Yeah.
You don't talk to down below, but suddenly... You've been downgraded.
Exactly. But I didn't like it. And I never liked taking orders anyways. And I usually figure that I'm smarter anyway, so I'll do a better way. So I should just be on my own. So I quit the job, broke up with my girlfriend at the time, all in 1 week, start fresh, like fresh slate. And I thought, okay, I'll run a business. I'll run my own business. But I didn't know much or anything about running a business. I thought I did because I read books. I read business books, and I'm a speed reader, and I can retain information quickly. But intellectual knowledge isn't all it's cracked up to be. Like, back then, if someone hired me to help build their business, that'd be the worst decision in their life. Because I had intellectual knowledge, but not experiential knowledge or embodied knowledge or practical knowledge. I had intellect knowledge. So you'd be better off hiring you or some successful business owner or some guy off the street or whatever. So I thought I would succeed at business because of all of my history. Like it looked like I was going to succeed, man. But nope. I failed business after business. I failed in my life, I failed probably 30 businesses. But back then I just failed, I don't know, five or six. And because I failed them, they weren't sustainable, and I didn't make money, and I couldn't afford my rent, and I ended up homeless. And so here I am.
So let me just clarify, from the smartest guy in Toronto to the homeless guy.
Yeah. It was a wake-up call. It was humbling.
How is that even possible? Remotely, tell me, how is it possible that the guy who is the smartest guy in a room... Is it okay to talk about this? Or?
Yeah, because arrogance blinds you, man. Like, I was blind. Like, I had all these tools and skills and resources, and my life had always been so easy up to then. I had a great family life, and I was making money, like, right out of high school, and all this, everything always clicked for me. And it's like, I'm sure I'll succeed. I'm sure I'll succeed at business. But it's a arrogant attitude. Why am I sure I'll succeed at business? Just because I succeeded at many other things? This is the least smart thing I've ever done, right? Like,
so can I ask you something? When you go down, when your day ends, right? You go sleep, of course. You're gonna relax, everything else. When everything is quiet, what your brain was telling you? Did you fight your brain to say, "I'm gonna be okay"? Or your brain says, like, listen, mate, you are gifted. Everything's gonna be shit. Because you go in the wrong direction? It's
a good question.
I know my name is Mario Bekes.
Yeah, you always have good questions. You're the smartest guy in this room. Yes. That's for sure, man. So I ended up being homeless for about 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, there was a week or a month here or there, like off and on. But if you add it up, it's about 3 years. Which is a long time for a high IQ super genius to be smart, to be homeless.
Yeah.
And so it started humbling me. at first I was defiant, like, oh, whatever, I'll be homeless just for a week. Like, I'll get out of this, no problem. Then a month later, like, okay, it's challenging, but I'm sure I'll figure something out. Then a year in, you start to question your self-esteem a little bit, like, you know, I don't know, maybe I just need something to click. And then 2 years in, you start getting depressed, like super suicidal depression, because I thought I'd be out of this in a week. Now here, 2 years later, my IQ is not helping me at all. All my struggle and my efforts not helping me either. Because I always had a good work ethic. My father raised me to achieve well and be excellent. That's why I did so well in school. Like, so that wasn't helping me. So nothing was helping me. My connections weren't helping me. And I was trying to run my business from the streets. So I learned how to stretch a dollar. I kept my overhead super low. Like, I became smarter and better at business, but not enough to get out of the situation. Something was holding me there.
On the street?
Yeah.
I try to figure out this. I'll tell you something what I know about homelessness.
It's not
nothing.
Not fun.
Nothing. I did my sort of try to help people through some charities, you know, like sharing the soup, help them with some clothing, everything else. But at the end of the day, I pick up my fat ass and go home. These people stands there.
It's true.
But I met two different type of the homeless people in the streets of Sydney. One group is like a 24/7 homeless, and then is the type of the people who are still in the suits and the makeup, but they can't pick up the food and take them home, right? And I know that this is not a pleasant thing, but I want to ask you, because I saw that these people, because of the situation they have no social connections anymore, I would say. Friendships, love life, sex life, family, talking to the midgets, unicorns, whatever you want. These people are actually in their own world, automatically going there, that's this place. Because I tried to talk to a few homeless people and break my freaking heart, mate, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and same as you this, like one day I just wake up, I'm homeless. So what happened to you, Jay, with your social relationships when you become homeless? I mean, the family, the friends, girlfriend, whatever, you know what I mean? Just so can you explain to us?
Another great question, as expected, I guess.
Because you're smart, man.
Well, you know,
yeah.
I think we both are. If you got smart questions.
Look, I always relate the questions to the way I like to hear somebody talks, because there is a different type of the interviews people conducting, and you know, I don't questioning, I don't care how other guy is doing, and for what purpose or whatever it is. If I put any CEO here to give me the advice, I'll never take it, because he's an employee after all, with a fat salary, so he can't relate to my life. But can J-Ryze can relate to my life and my listeners? Yes, he can. From the IQ, which is still there in your brain, being the guy on the street, homeless, learning the skills, how to survive. Living on the street is not easy.
No.
So please tell us more about this. You know, enough about me. It's about you. It's about you today. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I was a very unique kind of homeless person because I was creative and productive and smart. I never really fit in with the typical homeless.
Okay.
I looked fairly dignified, and I found hygienic tricks. Like, you can use tea tree oil. A tiny little bottle of tea tree oil can disinfect everything and keep you quite clean. Himalayan rock salt for your teeth, or, you know, there's tricks. And so I always looked fairly dignified. Maybe I'd have like a longer beard, or I hadn't had a haircut in a while, but it's like, this guy seems okay. So much so that homeless people would often stop me in the street and beg me for money, not knowing that I had less than them. They had more in their hat than I had. I had this giant backpack on and I'm walking by, but they saw me, because of how I carried myself, as above them, or more wealthy, or more abundant, or whatever I don't know exactly what was in their mind, but they saw me as a possible target for alms, for begging. And I even gave one guy my last $5 because I was so depressed at the time. I knew, like, what does this matter to me? Like, maybe I'll die tomorrow. Like, I'll just give this guy my last $5. And I ended up seeing him later on in a coffee shop. I don't know if he was spending my $5, but maybe. So my point is that I managed to keep some relationships because I hid my homelessness for the first year and a half, except from Adam. Like, only one person knew about it. So my parents didn't really know. My brothers didn't. My sister didn't know. My friends didn't know. So because they didn't know my status, there was no divide.
Not even your parents didn't know.
No, they eventually I filled them in when things got pretty grim, and I like asked for money or whatever. But like I had too much pride. Still, I was still prideful and egotistical in the first year and a half. Like, I did not lose the
arrogance.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever, I'm not homeless. I still look good. Everything's fine for me. But things kept getting worse. I got robbed of all my belongings. An ex-girlfriend put me in jail. Like, there was so many things like to knock me down.
It's like a to-do list.
Yeah, basically.
Let's go punch him in the head, stomach. Let's go stab him. Let's go rob him.
Next.
The next.
Yeah. It almost felt
did you blame anybody?
Yeah.
For what's happened to
yeah.
you?
Blame is a phase you go through when you are growing up. Like, there's always a blame phase. It's hard to find a human being who doesn't have a phase in their life where they blame. I'm fairly certain that if we look back in your past, there would be somewhere where you had a phase where you were blaming the world or blaming the military.
Absolutely. 2009. February 2009 to 2010, absolutely. It was even your fault. Even before, I always say this to people, like, it's unbelievable how I pointed finger in everybody and anybody.
Me too.
And I remember when I come home and told my wife then, you know what I mean, and my child was becoming ill. We didn't know what's happening, but then he's diagnosed with epilepsy, with quite stage of life. Because usually we're born with epilepsy, you know what I mean, you come to late life, right? But then doctor says it's all this external environment, which was like, you know, me losing the job, you know, like, and fighting with his mother. But I blame everybody and anybody. I'm the best. I deserve this. I deserve that.
Yeah, me too.
Till I didn't got a shovel, metaphorically, and instead of going up, I was digging deeper.
Same.
And deeper. And deeper.
Same.
And then, of course, I found myself in position to sleeping in my friend's garage. I wasn't homeless, but
close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And I felt miserable. You know, I said that's what it is. So, like, yes, I did blame.
Yeah, wake up call.
But nothing, not even remotely to your situation. Stabbing, hitting, robbing, girlfriend put you in prison.
So mine sounds worse, but I know that everyone has their own internal experience. So even something like fluff, like I lost my favorite pen, could be the end of the world to someone. Like, it was their father's pen or whatever, and it might feel as bad as homelessness felt to me. So I don't know. Like, your thing, we can compare, but only externally. Internally, we cannot compare. Yours might have felt even worse than what I was going through. So, who knows?
Thank you for saying this, Sam.
It's true.
As I said, like, on the main of your statue, somebody who been there can say this, because I'm pretty sure you will appreciate this, because we are surrounded today 24/7 social media where everybody blurbing. You know, I'm not alcoholic. I can do this. I can do that. It's easy to to flog with somebody else. Penis when everything's good.
Yeah.
But when it's bad, it's hard to be the general.
Absolutely, you're so right. Comparison and judgment is like social lubricant. Like, everybody uses it.
That's a good one. So what was your lowest point in those moments when you are homeless?
Probably when I got robbed and I lost my laptop, which was like the only thing keeping me going. The way I stayed homeless for 3 years is I served clients. So I ran a business. And I always served just enough to keep my head above water, but I could never get out. I could get like enough for food for a week, or enough for shelter for a month, or like I'd find I would sleep in chairs at internet cafes, like a 24-hour internet cafe. And if you have to pretend like you're using the computer or they'll kick you out. So I'm like a zombie, like getting an hour and then waking up and then getting an hour and then waking up. But as long as I look like I'm playing games or typing, they'll be fine. So, but that was still $20 a night, like for the whole night. So that was like my version of a hostel. Like, so sometimes I would sleep on the ground or sleep in a park. Like I couldn't always afford the internet cafes. So it was a treat. It was a luxury if I could, oh, today I earned enough money to get an internet cafe. Oh, no winter, no weather. I can sleep in the chair. I'm like so happy. So grateful. And I was getting the $20 a night. I was getting those luxuries. For me, they were luxuries. And I was getting them by running my own business and serving clients. And the irony is, my business at the time was a life coach, like a success coach. I was teaching people how to succeed. They didn't know I was a homeless failure. Like, if they knew, right? Like, but I wasn't trying to lie to them or deceive them. I just knew that I could only serve them if they believe in me. If they say, this is a good man, he has good advice, and I want to take it. So I can help them. But if as soon as they know I'm homeless, they're never going to listen. Then I can't help them. Then I can't serve them. And they would suffer. So it wasn't, that time it wasn't my ego. It was just, this is the only way I can serve people. So I'm going to stay dignified and hold my calls on my beat up laptop and in this cafe. And they would say, you know, oh, you always call from a cafe. That's so cute. That's so nice. I'm like, yeah.
You're so humble, man, actually.
I mean.
Do you know, sorry to again interrupt you.
No,
because
I
it's
love
like,
it.
There's a movie with Will Smith, you know, where he's become the famous stock trader. You know, he was sleeping in the bathroom with the toilets, public toilets with his son.
Pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, like, give me a break, man. You know what I mean? Look, just like, I don't, you know. But he's portraying that movie like, you know, just self-sacrifice, you know, how to say, a person who is so down on earth, but you showing the true humbleness. There's a lot of movies there, like, excuse me, come from being homeless and people become successful. There's a few movies there. This is the first one that come across to my mind. But, you know, the interesting thing is enough it is that what you did, what makes me very proud talking to you, that you say, I was the life coach to people who are successful. So you used your natural gift. But if people saw that you are homeless, they would say like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah. That's our perception about society. We make a compartment of this, everybody, put in compartments, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in a box.
In a box, yeah. So that's a better word, box set.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jay is no good. It's homeless, what he knows. But
yeah, exactly.
He's the smartest guy there.
So that's so true. And the funny thing is, the humility came later. Like, this homelessness experience and this failure and all these failed businesses and getting robbed and going to jail and all these things, like, they humbled me so hard and taught me that all of my arrogance and all of my superiority and conceit is nothing. We are all equal. We are all like God's children or individual souls or whatever you want to call it. We're all human beings. And the external things that everyone is judging is meaningless. Like the greatest man or the poorest man, meaningless. Doesn't matter. Like,
so your laptop was stolen?
Yeah, that was the heartbreak. Because up till then, I was kind of scraping by. Like somehow, sometimes I could get a chair to sleep in. Sometimes I could get some food. Like, I learned to eat 3 croissants a day because croissants were 25 cents each when they were stale. And so $1 could get me a whole day's worth of food or thereabouts. So I could stretch it. I mean, it wasn't healthy. It wasn't the greatest thing, but it was some calories. So I needed that laptop. I needed that. That was my business and my money. I had a website. I had a blog. I was making connections, and they would PayPal me some funds, and like I needed that. And then it got stolen. And it got stolen because I left it sitting there like an idiot. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was all meant to be. Like, life knew this he's still arrogant. He needs to be humbled again. So not just homeless, but robbed. And so all my life's belongings were taken, and the laptop was the main one. And this was a turning point because I thought my life was over. Like, I'm gonna die. That was the only thing keeping my head above water. Not only am I homeless, now I'm broke. Like, now I can't even make money if I wanted to. And I refused to beg because I was still proud. So it forced me to tell all my clients the truth. So I'd been hiding the truth. I thought they don't need to know, and it doesn't serve them, and it doesn't serve me. So I'm just gonna keep the facade.
Come on, man, seriously.
But I was finally told everybody. I told everybody. I emailed everyone, my whole network, all the clients, all the people, maybe even some of my family members. And I told them that I've been homeless for a year and a half now. And I just got robbed. And so I lost my laptop. And so if anyone can help me, please help me. And like, I never asked for help in any of this whole thing, except from my friend Adam. And even then, like, I'd given him so much, it didn't even feel like asking for help. It felt like one friend and another. Like, this was like real help. Like, I'm humble and I'm at the world's mercy and I'm a charity case. And can someone please help me?
So that was a year and a half into.
Yeah, I don't keep track of the times and dates. It all blurs together. Like, it was a crazy time, but it was.
What year was that?
It was halfway in, thereabouts. That was 2011 or 12, maybe 13. Okay. Not later than 13, I don't think.
No, I was like 12 years old. There, I was very young. I was
I could tell.
10 years old.
Well, no, I could tell.
Okay, so tell us.
I was going to ask about your rejuvenation techniques.
Yeah, like I can't show you on those cameras. I'll tell you later.
Fair enough.
there's injections. Shangri-La injections.
It's working.
It's working. So
that was the hardest time.
Yeah. So they said that truth sets you free. It's not true. Is it true?
It's true.
Okay.
They rallied and set up a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter and raised money to replace my laptop. And I had a new one.
Yeah.
I had a new one within a week or something. Just from the kindness of strangers, like the kindness of friends and family and clients. None of them judged me for my homelessness. No one said anything. They just got together, and I think it was spearheaded by this woman named Sonia Winland.
Thank you, Sonia.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know how to express the gratitude for all of the people who contributed. And it didn't really like save me, but it was a turning point. It kept me in business and it kept me making a little money, and I stayed on the streets for another year and a half.
Yeah.
But at least I replaced my laptop and the robbery didn't end my journey or whatever, right? So that was super hardcore. And the second time was at the end of the 3 years when I was trying to kill myself. And because I'm such an overachiever and high performer or whatever, I was still kind of judgy, like still a little cynical. I was, I can't even say this. I judged people who killed themselves. Like, I was like, that was so messy. I would have never done it that way. Can't believe you failed at it. Like, I'm judging people who are so depressed, they're ending their life, and I'm sitting there judging them. So I decided I was going to end my life and do it in a pro way. Like, I'm going to show these guys. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. You'd think I would have been humbled by then, but still the vestiges stayed with me. And anyways, I found the best way to end one's life. And I don't know, I'm not promoting this or advocating this. Like,
no, there's nothing to promote it here. Nobody can promote this, but it's like
I'm just sharing my experience.
Exactly, it's your experience.
Yeah, so I found is to use a drug called phenopentyl that they use on horses and dogs and stuff when they, they want to put them down. And it's peaceful and humane, or as humane as it gets. And I think they use something similar in Sweden at the Dignitas or Switzerland at the Dignitas Institute. It's a euthanasia place. Like it was a real thing. And I did a lot of research and I was like, all right, at least I can do this right. I've failed at everything else. My IQ got me nothing. I'm a giant write-off. Like I was feeling pretty worthless by this time, depressed and wanting to end it. But at least I can go out, like I won't
go with the dignity.
Yeah. And I won't be much of a burden on people. There won't be like a mess to clean up. And
that's how you saw yourself burden.
Yeah, still. So I found a source for it. And I'd saved up enough money to order it. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Basically, I could have lived for more than a month on the funds I'd saved up. So I had a choice. Do I want to try again for one more month and use these funds that I managed to get? Or do I want to end it? And I was like, I'm done. I'm done trying to stretch this out. I give up. I just end it. So I went to place an order, and you could get it from Mexico. And I'm like typing it in and getting ready, and I'm going to press buy, and it's like, where do you want to ship it? And I'm like, shipping address. I don't have an address. And I just started crying. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was in tears. I was like, I can't even kill myself the way I want to kill myself. I have no power in my life. I am the least powerful man that exists. I can't even end my own life the way I want to. How tragic is this? And all those people I judged, oh, you can't kill yourself properly, you can't do it right. I'm worse than them. Like, I can't even... And I debated sending it to my friend's house, like the one guy I trusted.
Yeah.
Like, but he would talk me out of it. Like, if he saw a medical thing get shipped from the... He's not going to give it to me. He's not going to hand it over.
Yeah.
And now I have this awkward conversation, and he's gonna tell his parents, and they're gonna call like the services, police, or whatever. Like it's gonna be
mess.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is insane.
This is low anticipation, and
I gave up.
Okay.
Thank God. I stopped trying to make money. I stopped hustling. I stopped thinking I could get myself out of this. I stopped being hyper productive and efficient and high intellect and all these things. I stopped trying to kill myself. I stopped trying to do anything. And this is the first time in my life I stopped trying to do stuff. Society and my parents and school always praised me for my overachievement. You know, you're a performer, you're a producer, you deliver. All the kids in school, like I was popular because I delivered. I gave them art and I wrote their projects for them and I did their homework for them and I was always organizing the events. And like my whole life I'd just been producing for society because I thought, you know, being a productive member of society is how you succeed in life. And the whole time I was just trying to be the best producer with my skills, with what I was given. And this was the first time I dropped all that. And I was like, you know what? This has got me nowhere. I don't know who teaches people to hustle and grind. I don't know who teaches people to be the most productive and be the most efficient, but it did not work for me. And
it doesn't work for nobody.
I don't think it's the way to succeed.
No,
well, now I know it's not. But it was by giving up and surrendering that things all changed.
So by giving up and surrendering to be highest achiever, to need to hustle to achieve results.
I was like, I could die a homeless failure who's failed every business he's tried, who couldn't even kill himself, who has no worth or value to humanity, who no one would pay for anything, who couldn't find shelter or food, and he just died and starved to death as like a waste of space. And I would have been happy. I was like, you could put it on my tombstone. Etch it on my tombstone. Worthless human. I'm fine with it. And by making peace with that, instead of trying to be otherwise, so miracles happened. So many things changed. It was incredible. But most people can't make peace with their demons. Like the biggest fear they have. Like the stock trader can't make peace with being broke. The overachiever can't make peace with being a bored, unproductive waste. The fighter can't make peace with being weak. Like you find anyone and they have an identity, usually in their younger years, but they have an identity and they can't make peace with the opposite of that identity. But I finally made peace with the opposite of my identity. My identity was as the smart, high IQ overachiever who's better than everyone. And I made peace with being a dumb, useless failure who's better than no one. And when I accepted this opposite of my identity, this is when things changed. So I laid on a bench, a park bench in Toronto. It was summer at this time, so it was quite hot. and I just baked in the heat on this bench for about 36 hours. So much so that the slats of the bench started giving me blisters on my shoulder blades. But I was like, I'm not moving. I'm done trying. I don't care. I will starve here. I'm not serving clients. I'm not finding shelter. I just want to die. But I know I can't even do that right, so we'll see. So I was bored. 36 hours of boredom is actually a blessing. Most of our fast-moving societies, even Sydney included, they need to be bored. They need to go meditate and be at peace in nature, or lay in a bed or lay on a bench for 36 hours and really get bored. Because from boredom comes inspiration. Boredom is a service.
That's a powerful statement. From boredom comes inspiration.
Yeah, but people avoid it. Overstimulation, TikTok, doom scroll, everything. Avoid boredom, avoid boredom. Everyone avoiding boredom. They don't realize boredom is a gift. And when you were a kid, you embraced boredom. You'd get bored, Mom, I'm bored. And she'd tell you, oh, go outside or whatever.
Yes.
Eventually from that boredom,
you do something. Yeah.
And then you have fun. The day goes well, but only if you embrace the boredom. But somewhere along the way, as kids, we grow older and older, and then we start to avoid boredom.
Because you're told we need to achieve, we need to create.
Yeah, you're being idle. You're wasting time. Get to work. Go do something with your life. This is a great world. How can you be bored? People, parents and authority figures hate on boredom, and they teach us to avoid boredom forever.
Full stop, yeah.
But as children, we knew boredom was actually a blessing and a tool. You don't want to stay in it too long,
yes,
but it can serve you quite well.
Yes.
And so for the first time in 3 years, I stopped stimulating, I stopped working, I stopped hustling. I just laid on the bench and I was bored. And from that boredom came an impulse. You should get water. You've been laying in the heat for a long time. You ran out of your water bottle ran out ages ago. Please go. And I didn't move. I was like, screw this. And ignoring your impulses is not ideal, but I did. And then another impulse came. It's very hot here. You should get shade. All right, fine. Water and shade. Fine. I will go. So I went to the library and I started charging my laptop. It was long dead or nearly dead. And while I was waiting for it to charge, I got the impulse, just hop on the internet. So I hopped on the internet. And then it said type something. So I typed business forums or something. Yeah. And I found a business forum. This is back when forums were big, before most of the social media. I mean, we had Facebook or whatever, but... And the business forum that came up was Evan Carmichael's business forum. He's a pretty sizable thought leader in Toronto. I mean, he's much bigger now. But even back then, he was doing quite well for himself. And he had this business forum. And so I just started answering questions on the forums. All these people asking, oh, how do I build my brand? Oh, how do I start my business? Oh, how do I manage staff? How do I do these things? And my brain, which always loves to answer questions, like it's a fast brain. It's always looking to understand and teach and learn.
He looks for external inputs,
Yeah. And even as a kid, like the high IQ was still there, and I love juicy problems. And it was like a whole ton of juicy problems. So I just started answering everybody.
Yeah.
And the moderators of the forum took notice, and they were like, we don't have a job. Like, we have no one to answer. He answered everybody. Like, how is this guy? He's up in the morning. He's up at the night. He's answering all day long. So they were like, this guy's nuts. We never seen anybody like this. And they showed Evan, and Evan's like, man, that guy has some good answers. Like, I would answer like that. I learned something. And so he wanted to meet me. And so he invited me out for dinner. We ended up talking for 5 hours until the restaurant closed. And we decided to collaborate. And so now I'm collaborating with this fairly well-to-do thought leader when the day before I was homeless. He hired a homeless guy to collaborate with. So he was my biggest client.
This is the miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, look, don't take me wrong now, but that's I don't have any powers of prophecies or seeing the crystal ball or understanding everything, meaning of life. But I truly believe that everything in our life, it is by design.
Agreed. Sort of.
Sort of, yeah. I think, they don't say without reason that God doesn't close one door before He opens another ones. But sometimes we're blind to see these things, that sometimes we need to rid of our some baggage and some weight of our shoulders to walk carefree to something new. But for you happened this, obviously you said, I have enough 36 hours. I want to have the blisters on my skin. And then something told you go on a forum, you found a forum, and then you less than 48 hours, you are collaborating with one of the most, obviously successful people on the planet Earth.
Yeah. It actually happened about 2 weeks later. There was some lag time. But yeah, basically, to me, it felt like overnight. I'm like, one second I'm homeless. The next second I'm collaborating with this thought leader.
Yeah.
And we collaborated for 10 years. I was like his right-hand man. I ended up getting, a percentage of his profits, and we kept growing together and doing everything together. And he consulted with me on all his branding and advice and business decisions. I think there's a testimonial on my site where he's like a video of him where he says, I run every important business decision through Jay. And I was like, thanks, man. Like, I'm honored. And we did good work. We grew his following from 1,000 subscribers to 3 million. I think I left at like 2.8 million or something, but and he's up to 4 now. But
he slowed down after you.
Yes, that's a whole other story.
So let me just make the bridge now between being homeless and not being homeless. So sorry, his name is again
Evan Carmichael.
Evan Carmichael.
Yeah, you can look him up.
I will do.
He's a great guy.
Because this today, well, like this is the one of very rare interviews where I was like a little kid, in the shop, mommy, buy me that chocolate, you know what I mean? Because I realized the one thing that you can't learn. I always being aware when the people bring the gifts, that's expression. I mean, like with the big grain of salt, everybody's like, I know everything, have answers or everything. It's not that one. I mean, when you see the influencers there in the market, they have this amazing hook, I was homeless, I was unhappy, this and that. Look, I don't fall for these stories because I know my childhood. It's nothing that you can impress me. And the people say to me, but his childhood. I said, would you like me to explain to you my childhood? I always refer to my son. I don't know how I got a box of Nike sneakers, the box, carton box. And I checked that box so much that my father was so angry. He chucked it out because I couldn't have the Nike sneakers in communism. There was nothing. But the box was representing,
It was like a symbol.
Yeah, like it's just, oh man, And my father hated, first of all, because against the communism. Secondly, he cherishing this more than everything else. So your story doesn't have the hook. Your story has revelation. It's literally like a Bible. I mean, this is what's happened. This is how I'm gonna work. But I'm interested now with the bridge. So Evan Carmichael, and you. So from being homeless in less than 2 weeks, you start collaborating with this gentleman. What was your first roof above your head? I'm interested in this one. I see. That's a good question.
It is a good question. Yes. Third time. Actually, they're all good.
Yeah.
So after some initial bumps, we ended up collaborating, and part of the deal that he offered to me was, I'll let you sleep in my office. And I was like,
it's a safe.
I'm sold.
I'm sold. Yeah.
You know how to make a deal, sir. Yeah, I'm on board. His office was tile floor, cold tile floor, but to me it was heaven. I used my backpack as a pillow. I stretched my coat out as a bed, and it was still a hard tile floor, but it was better than sleeping upright in a chair at the internet cafe or on the dewy grass, soaking my back in a park. So I was like, this is amazing. And there was security in the building, so I could only I had a curfew. I had to get into the office before everything
shut it
locked.
Building. Yeah.
And then I would sleep until Evan came in the morning, and he would open the office and we'd start working together. So that was my first shelter or roof. But as we grew the business, more and more profits came, and I was able to get like rent my own place and do my own thing, and things went up from there. But by that time, I was a totally different person. I learned to be humble. I learned to embrace the opposite of my identity. I learned not to identify with my own gifts or blessings. I learned to see everyone as equal. I learned
so
not
the
to judge
arrogance
people.
was like
Gone. I went from being the most arrogant to like the least arrogant, the least judgy, the most humble. Even saying the most humble is like more arrogance. So I still have to watch myself, like that I never turn back to that, right? Like it's kind of like a drug addict or an alcoholic who gets clean, but they're sort of always vigilant. Like I have to be careful. Like I don't want to end up like that again.
Yeah.
And so for me, the drug was arrogance, and I don't want to end up like that again. So I make a point of practicing a form of humility. But because I've been on both sides, like the most humble, low circumstances and high arrogance, I actually learned that most people don't understand humility or arrogance. They think they understand it, but if you haven't experienced both, probably you're going to have a skewed perception. And I'm not claiming my perception is perfect either, but I'm just saying that I have a slightly improved perspective because of the two experiences, right? Both sides of the coin. There are a lot of people that I've talked to so far in Sydney have an issue with confidence. Like they need to be more arrogant is kind of what I'm saying. In America, they have a problem with overconfidence. A lot of people that I talk to there think they're the best in the world and they can eat anything and do anything, and they like see someone accomplish something like, I could do it too. Like it's so strange, their level of confidence, but their parents have been teaching them you can do anything and you're special and whatever since they were little. Then I go to Sydney and people have, I think, what's called tall puppy syndrome, and they don't want to stand out too much. They want to claim that I'm the best at this or I'm good at this. And I see them and I'm like, there's a middle ground.
Yeah.
Sydney may be too humble for most people. America may be too overconfident, maybe too cocky for most people. But there's a middle ground, and you want to find that sweet spot because that's where your power comes. I mean, not me. I was way too extreme on both ends.
What do you think when you're looking from today's perspective, right? First of all, I congratulate you for the being truthful and honest.
Thank you.
I say I appreciate people and I'm taking everything with a grain of salt, but you disarm me because it's not easy to talk about being homeless. And I say, like, I know that. Look, I've been in many presentations where all these influencers come with a sad story, and I just like, dude, really, I know that's a hook in. I mean, let's go talk about how. You see, I am the type of the person who. Theory, it's a one thing. You learn this on university and schools and everything else, but you need to apply it in real life. An application from theory to the practice, it's a how. That's the bridge. And when I say to people, how did you done this? How did you become a millionaire? How? Tell me. First of all, most of millionaires, they don't know. When they say, I'm the self-made millionaire, it's like, give me a definition millionaire. They have no idea what a millionaire is, right? Okay, that's fine. If that's Andrew Tate school, good luck to you. I don't know,
Andrew Tate school.
Yeah, but that's, he's the idol for the many. Now he's been arrested yesterday again because of the minors. You want to be successful YouTuber? Look at Mr. Beast. I'm not sure, did you see that one?
Yeah, man.
He fall down as
well. A lot of drama happening.
A lot of drama, minors, everything else. So like, everything's corrupted. But I don't care for the world. I can't save the world. But what I can save, it's the people who I care, I love, and cherish. So, exactly, it's like yourself.
Aww.
But what you demonstrated today, and that's I'm saying to people, you can't learn from those, look at me, Tai Lopez, that guy. Look at my Lamborghini and the books. Dude, seriously, if you read the books, any of your books, you should express yourself better. That's the number one.
Agreed.
Secondly, when people talk about look at me, look at me, look at me, of course they're appealing what their dreams they are. But you demonstrated today, you, Jay, it's how you did it. You say like, I survived on the street by using the Himalayan salt for my teeth. Some type of oil I didn't have.
Tea tree oil.
Tea tree oil, right?
Yeah.
Then you said like, I was surviving because I was internet cafe and I was using their laptop as a mean of getting some money, PayPal. That's a how. a lot of these influencers, most of them is like, they have not that story. And I'll say to people, be careful who you learn from, because you see, you're the long-lasting, all they call this in America, prepper, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to survive nuclear war.
Yeah.
And you can teach us how to survive. What did you say? $1, you say, $1 took you 3 or 4...
whole meal, 3 croissants.
3 croissants. In reality, did you see that show? It's called Alone?
Alone. I haven't seen it, but I saw ads for it.
Yeah, it's season 11. I'm watching this vigorously. Like, I'm like, oh. And in reality, these people have less than a couple hundred calories per day, right? In our society, if this is happening in prison, it's called torture. If the personal trainer says to have 500 calories, it's called dieting.
True.
Fasting.
True.
In your case, it's terrific, horrific. It
was just life for me.
That's a how. For that one, I commend you, because
I mean, I'm still skinny.
yeah, like well, it takes a lot of time. So you slept in your office of Evan Carmichael, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then you start moving with your life, right? You know what I mean? So what was your first touch with the social side of your life, which we discussed at the beginning? Friends, ex-girlfriend put you in prison. You know what I mean? Like,
she took it back. I was pardoned. She made it up.
I expected you're going to say this because you'll not travel in Australia if it's true.
Yeah.
So, because I know Australia, it's very tough on some things. That's have you been criminal proceedings and things. But anyway, parents, friends, siblings.
Yeah. So, I've always been the black sheep in my family, the rebel. I don't think like them.
Well, I'm not surprised you said you're going to say that.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, like, come on, man.
Yeah. I always had big ambitions and shot high, aimed high, and wanted to do bigger things. And no one in my family is an entrepreneur except myself. And none of them have been homeless except myself. So, our lives and life experiences are quite different. And I'm not saying that you can't relate to people who have different life experience than you. Of course we can relate to anyone. We are all human and we all have commonalities.
Yes.
It took me a while to learn that. But some people are a better fit than others. For example, I had interviews queued up with Pri from 90.5 Alive or something. And she was excited at first, and then after reading some of my story, thought, maybe I better stay away from this guest or topic. And so that's fine, but you ended up being excited. And so there's 2 hosts. I am relating well to both of them, and then suddenly it turns out one is a fit and the other's not a fit. So this is fine. But with my own family, even though I love them and I want to relate with them and I feel capable of relating, it takes 2. And if they're not on the same page or same wavelength, we're not going to relate. And so I haven't really talked much to my 2 brothers in years. My sister, I stopped talking to for 5 years, but she eventually wrote me a heartfelt letter and we reconnected. And I visited her right before I left for Sydney. And the way she's grown and the way I've grown makes us a fit. Like, she's become a very healthy-minded, wonderful person who's sort of on the same page as me. And so with her, I can talk about entrepreneur life or homelessness or these kind of things. But with the rest of my family, not so much. And I've learned a lot about God and energy and spirituality.
I can't believe it. I just want to ask you one question.
Yeah,
because,
anything.
It's because you read about this one. I never been in a situation like you did.
Well, military.
It's different. You still have the food. You're surrounded with the buddies. People forget about military. Even in the war, it's not 24/7 shooting. I think that one of my most intense fighting was lasting 3 hours, and that was literally it was so exhausting that we both sides, enemy and us, we just called off, dead because it was really tense, and There was a moments when I really want to pull the trigger, you know what I mean, my skull. And I was 18 years old, but you survive, you know what I mean, have the couple drinks, you know, have the couple, you know, ounces of cocaine, you know what I mean, the fucking injection with amphetamines and smokes, and, you know, things work, you know what I mean, and, you know, you're forgetting. And what I didn't saw, I didn't have the mirror in the war. That's interesting. In the war, you have no mirrors. But then I start losing hair, you know, become older. So war is something different than military. You still have a food, you have a bed to sleep.
I see.
You have a roof above the head. Homeless, you have nobody. But what you don't have when you're in the military, what you have and a homeless person doesn't have, it's external support.
Yeah.
When you're on the war, civilians was giving us the coffee, the chocolates, you know, last thing what they have. When you're homeless, people say, come on, mate.
Yeah, they don't want to touch you.
And exactly. I bet how many parents say to kids, don't be like him or her.
Yeah. They don't want to talk to you.
So my question is, I always say to people that I never become religious. I was never a religious person. I was even altar boy for the different reasons, because I was running from cops. So anyway, but the thing is, I know that I was more time afraid in the war than courageous. And those moments was like a God. I'll always say, God, just let me survive one more night. And I will survive the night. I don't know how the God plays roulette, who decides who lives, who dies. I think it's by design. It should be some way, sometime. But my question is, what was your fate to the God when you were homeless? Or even now?
It's a good question.
Did you say God? Did you see the God? Did you felt something? Did you know what I mean, blame the angels? Did somebody says to you, you know what I mean, I think I'm gonna part away? I'll give you one experience. 2014, long story short, I was seeing my child with his mother with the coffee. I was sick for a couple months. Doctor didn't know what it is with me. I think I was mentally being sort of down, and things in my life didn't look very well. So he gave me antibiotics. I took antibiotics in front of them because I was coughing blood, all these things. You know what I mean? He says to me, I think you have the pneumonia, whatever it is. I took antibiotic. I've never been allergic on a penicillin. Guess what? I see my kid like this, like you right now, 9 years old, and suddenly, no, 10 years old, suddenly, I'm seeing he's become smaller and blackout. So I got anaphylactic shock. I will start choking, I start dying. And then in that very moment, in my dream, whatever it is, was appearing my father with a bicycle. You know what I mean? We never have a car. So my father was riding bicycle and holding other one. He said, hop on, let's go. I told my father to, you know what I mean, fuck off, you know what I mean, because I wasn't good relation with him.
This is a dream?
That's the moment I was dying. I stopped breathing. The next thing I wake up, my eyes open, there was in the ambulance doing the CPR on me, you know what I mean? Because I was like a 6 sizes big. I was literally, I have pictures of everything else. I wake up, then next moment I wake up in a hospital bed, right? My kid was sleeping next to me, and doctor says it was the last moment, so I was supposed to die. I never been allergic on a penicillin before. I never after. But that moment, I got on penicillin, and I think I met a God, whatever it is. For some reason, I'll come back, right? Yeah. This is just my dream. Was, you know, seeing my father. It's not real. I know it's not real because I'm here with you. But my question with you it is, because you experienced all these obstacles. What was your relation with the God?
Yeah, it's a great question.
If you can share with us, because
I'm happy to.
Yes, please.
To me, it's one of the best topics any human being can discuss.
Please.
Even though it's kind of a loaded topic and people have all these weird biases, but
we are not other people.
No.
Those who want to listen to you, choose to listen to you, they choose. Those who want to judge, I couldn't care less. We are not to judge on hotel to make everybody happy, brother.
Same. I'm just glad you're open to it.
Absolutely.
Or many hosts would avoid the topic of God. You walked right into it, so I love it. I appreciate it.
See, that was it. I mean, like, you know, we connected. You know, I mean, like that to the friend of our Uma. So please tell us.
I'm thrilled.
Yes.
So I mentioned earlier that I was raised by 2 devout Christians.
That's great. I wrote this. Yes.
And
Christian parents, yes.
And so, as a kid, especially an overachieving kid, I always wanted to impress my parents by knowing the Bible and knowing Jesus and knowing Christianity and getting all the right answers. And so I had a strong early foundation for this, and my quick mind, memorized all the Bible books and verses and quotes and stuff, and I was pretty good. And I liked a lot of it. Like, the Bible is a giant book, and the messaging is kind of all over the place, but the overall theme is that there was a dude who existed. Look, I mean, you could argue he's fictional, but there was a guy who was a masterful teacher of love, and he demonstrated love overall in pretty much all occasions. The book was written hundreds of years after his departure, so who knows how much of it is precise.
Yeah, but the one guy who was in a cave, anyway. So yes.
Yeah, but I liked that he was a good role model.
Yes.
Even if he's fictional, like Superman is fictional, but he's a pretty good role model. Like, he behaves well, and he conducts himself with dignity, and he uses his gifts to help the world. And it's like, even if Jesus was fictional, he's still a good role model. You know, I'd like to be as good as Superman if I could, and I'd like to be as good as Jesus if I could. So I wasn't against it. But as I studied more in school, I studied world religions and theology and philosophy, and I explored Buddhism and all these different things, conversations with God, or Eastern Tantra, all these kind of different aspects of religion and spirituality, Middle Eastern, a little bit of Islam. And so I began to see that although Jesus was an awesome role model, most people's interpretation of him and his teachings are quite skewed. And so I need to do my own
research.
Yeah, and I need to come up with my own understanding of this guy. And so I started to imagine Jesus in modern times. So what would Jesus say about sex in modern times, or OnlyFans girls? What would Jesus say about the politics in modern times? What would he say about religion in modern times? And my understanding of God and the Bible expanded. And then I started looking into quantum physics and quantum realities and the matrix and the illusion, and we're all energy and all these kind of things. And so that expanded it even further. And then I started studying law of attraction and how to manifest and how to create your own reality, and affirmations and positive intentions and stuff like that. And the Bible's full of I am this, I am that. And I'm like, Jesus was teaching law of attraction. He was teaching everybody, go pray or meditate. Like, say I am and affirm it and believe it. Operate as if it's real. Have faith as if it's real. And I'm like, this dude was teaching law of attraction millions of years ago, thousands of years ago. And so I picked up bits and pieces of this, but while I was homeless, it was very difficult to tap into these things or to embody them, because every day I woke up to a shit reality. Like, you don't wake up to ice cold dew on your back and your backpack covered in dirt, or a security guard like knocking you off the bench saying, "Get the hell out of here, you can't sleep here." Like, you don't wake up and think, "Oh man, God's amazing. Jesus is awesome. The Bible's amazing. I'm manifesting my own reality. Law of attraction is beautiful." Like, you just wake up and hate life, and you blame God, and you blame everything.
Of course, I expected you were going to say this. Yes.
Yeah, so I was miserable, and I was raging at God. But I always learned to paint a happy face on things. Even when I was at school, I learned to have a facade. And
you said
when I was homeless, I stayed dignified, and no one really knew I was homeless. So even with this, even though I'm blaming God inside, outside, I'm like, stay positive, everyone. Like, you should be a good person, and just, you can create your own reality, and life will work out. I'm homeless, I'm miserable, and I'm writing this on my blog or something. It's like crazy. But as time went on, I saw more and more miracles. Like, when my ex put me in jail, I was so mad at God, but then a week later, she took it back, and I got pardoned, and I found a lawyer who helped me for free. And it's like, this felt like a miracle. And then halfway through my homeless years, I was really starving. Like I didn't have food or shelter for a long time. And I was laying in a park, just like giving up again. Like, I don't know what to do. And an old man who looked like Santa Claus, big roly-poly old man with a giant white beard, started beelining towards me. And when you're in a park...
So I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's like
it's a funny image.
Yeah.
Like
I can see the movie, like, you know, like...
and he's just do. And the picnic bench I was lying on a picnic bench, and there's a giant field to the road. Like the road, a giant field, some trees, and then a picnic bench, and then more field. So I'm in the middle of nowhere in this park. Yeah. It's like an odd picnic bench for a man to walk directly towards. So I actually started feeling a bit nervous or scared, because when you're homeless, you learn to be on guard and watchful for everything. Probably in the military too. Like you learn to have situational awareness, or if someone's approaching.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So I had that, right? Like, I don't want nobody approaching me, man. Like, what's happening? Yeah. And he's beelining towards me, but he also looked friendly. And there was like, I was confused at the signals. Like, no one should be approaching me on this picnic bench, but also I feel friendly intentions. So I don't know what's happening. And he walked up and he put a plastic white bag on the bench next to me, smiled, and walked away.
What was in the bag?
Fresh baked bread, granola bar, apple, cheese.
My God.
Like, why is this man giving me miracle food? Who does this? What is going through his head? Why is he doing this? And I was like, is this a trick? Is this a trap?
I didn't say that God works in mysterious ways. Isn't that the expression that God works in mysterious ways?
Mm-hmm. That was the most mysterious.
Look, I always question the fate, you know, because you never choose the fate. It's given to you by the birth, right?
Well, I have a lot to say on this topic, but go ahead.
Yeah, look, absolutely. But one thing I always question, because once upon a time I was in ambush. We've been set in ambush, but about 11 o'clock at night, we're being served the lunch. So, you know, before the combat, you're supposed to have an empty stomach. I mean, but you need some energy, right? Because the worst thing is, if you're wounded in the stomach during the war, full stomach, it's going to die from the food, from the poison, right? Sepsa, blood poison.
Yeah, sepsis.
And, but in the army, when I was in the army, the church was taking great role, Roman Catholic Church. And we were getting the rosaries, you know what I mean? Rosaries before the battles and everything else. And I questioned, I said, like, why giving us all this time on this, you know, always these rosaries, the God, so, you know. But then about 4 o'clock in the morning, we were there waiting for the enemy. So we were in front of their village, they were sleeping, everything else, but they're waking up. They knew we are coming or something, but they have their priest who was doing same thing, Orthodox priest. Anyway, after the fight and everything else, we come back. I said to priest, on whose side God it is? Because what you done to us, they're doing their priest to them. Rosaries and blessings and holy water and all these things. I've been reprimanded for the questioning. So you're the tip of the spear for the government, for the church, everything else. Yet
you can't question.
You can't question. And that very moment, I realized that this is not the way I like it. Several years later, when my son was born, my son is in vitro because I can't have a kid normal way, natural way. I wanted to baptize him in Croatian Roman Catholic Church, and they told me 2003 to actually literally fuck off. Right, literally told me because
not organic.
That's correct. Yeah,
natural.
Right, yeah, and I said to myself, so I was a good soldier, but I'm not good as I said, you know what? So I brought God with me inside of me. I never went to church again in my life, and I was still praying and everything else. I feared the God, I loved the God, but I said to myself, the humans polluted everything, corrupted everything to the way they suit them. But the man of your experience saw this on a different level, from above. And that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned earlier, I started to imagine what Jesus would do if he was in modern times. And if he met you and your in vitro child, I guarantee you he would bless the child and welcome the child and celebrate the child. So I don't know why the organized religion behaves this way, because the guy they worship, the guy they want to follow, would never have done this. He hung around with harlots, thieves, tax collectors, murderers, Roman centurions. Like, he had no problem with nobody. He wouldn't judge an in vitro child. He wouldn't say, no, you can't, whatever. Like,
that's like, that's what has happened to you. Like, when you're homeless, I say, like, society is very good in surgically removing everything what's not pleasant for the eyes, even homeless people. Right? So society has this power to remove everything surgically remove everything what's not pleasant for the eyes, clean the garbage, do this. But in reality, we are just putting everything under the carpet because everything still seems never been solved. Now, from your point of view, before we wind up, because I understand that we could have talked forever this, but who knows? How did you move yourself now from being homeless and you start working with Evan Carmichael? What are you doing today?
Yeah, so today I'm helping more Evans.
Okay.
Right? I help thought leaders grow their brand, their following from 1,000 to 3 million or whatever they want to do. Like, I don't care what the numbers are, but I want to serve humanity.
Okay.
And we all have our methods of service. You are serving by asking great questions and having these guests, finding these people who have stories to share and are not being heard, or whatever you see your mission as. And I aim to elevate the consciousness of all 8 billion humans on the planet. What I've been through and what I've lived has given me the tools to do this. And what I was born with has given me the tools to do this. I was raised by loving parents, and they gave me a lot of wisdom. They taught me wisdom, and I had the IQ. And so I have the loving heart, and I have the wisdom. But I had to go through hell on earth to humble myself and to turn that towards service rather than ego or wealth or whatever. I mean, wealth and prosperity are extremely helpful for achieving a mission, but then you have to be careful because you end up like Ty Lopez and Andrew Tate, and right? Like, if I get as wealthy as them, I can use those resources to help people, but I could also end up just like them.
Look, I always say to people when I do some of my part of the podcast, which is called criminal investigations, because after all, that's core of my life. I spend most of my life investigating things, interrogating things, being the spy for my government. But the thing is, I always say to people, do you remember the moment somebody took advantage of you? And most people say yes. I say, well, that's why I'm here. Never happen again. I can't tell the people what to do with their life, but I will equip them with the knowledge and information which they make decisions on their own.
Nice.
I hate to see people, hardworking people, losing their money because somebody sold them the dream as a product and service. I can't stand the man or these influencers who's shouting on people, you are worthless, you are this, you can do that. Man, come try to tell this to me, man. Because I was in military for 14 years and I never shouted on my soldiers like I see some of these guys. If you're very, very well, if you're so brave, take the weapon uniform, go and fight, go fight the war, man. Do something. Don't sit there at home and and then turns out the majority of them, they're crooks and scammers and fraudsters and lies. And, I was reading the other day, I was doing the podcast about a lady called Kat Torres. She was a fitness influencer. She was a Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. She was doing the grooming the young girls and use them as a sexual workers, right? So the people saw in her, they related their life to her. She abused it, the trust, and people being hurt. I don't want this to happen. But today, podcast, it's not about nobody else. It's about very expensive life experience, very expensive life battle You fought 3 years, 36 months. It's like 1,200 days, 1,200 nights.
Yeah.
Living from day to day, as you say, takes a lot of courage to live day after day. But it's like, it breaks my heart hearing these things when you say, like, there was a moment I couldn't care less anymore. I just want to sit there on a bench. It was a hot day in Toronto, right? Toronto.
Yeah.
And I got my blisters and anything else. I just want to die. But I'll tell you the one misery. There was a gentleman here, very successful businessman. And things didn't go very well. And he decided to take his own life. And he called the suicide prevention hotline. So he just want to inform them that, you know, it's just about this happen and, you know, things. Long story short, the suicide prevention hotline told them, hold the line.
Of course.
And I'm sitting here thinking, Richie, tell me you're joking to me. He says to me, no, after some time they told me to go on a website. So he was on a podcast here. I said to myself, where did our society come? We have become statistics, the number. But I wanted to teach today to us. I have a few more questions before we wind up. Question number 1. Why the people are unhappy in their life? Why we are always chasing, including me, moi, always this something what we see on social media. Why we don't open our eyes wide?
It's such a good question. And it's one that I studied and asked myself many times during my homeless years. What is this?
Yeah.
Why are we all miserable? Why am I miserable? Why is this happening? And when I gave up and made peace with the opposite of my identity and I surrendered, peace came. I was free. I was happy, like really happy. And then I was bored, and then it led to this and that and whatever. It was a turning point of happiness. How did I access that happiness? How can anyone access that happiness? Something happened. I went from miserable for 3 years to just happy, and happy for them to write on my tombstone, worthless waste of space. How could I be happy for this? I was never happy about it before. I was miserable. Miserable at failing, miserable at not succeeding, miserable at not getting my dreams, at not getting my goals. How did I become happy? Like, what changed? I'll tell you what changed.
Listen.
I accepted that we all have dreams and we're all going to die with some of those dreams unmet. Even Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk are going to die with some dream unmet. I tell you right now, they have a dream. Right now, they're sitting there at home. There's something in the back of their mind. They're not like, oh, I don't want anything. No, they have some kind of dream, some kind of desire. And they can move towards it today or they can not. But death is going to come for them, like it comes for us all. And they will die with something unfinished. Some legacy, some dream, some desire, unfinished. And when you make peace with that, you know what? I might be homeless forever. I might be a small local podcast forever, even if your dream is bigger. If you can accept the unpleasant thing, if you can accept the thing you fear, if you can accept the opposite of your dream, then happiness arrives. Like, happiness is present always. Buddha knows, Jesus knows, love is here always. Happiness is here always, waiting for us to access it. But only when you drop all of the seeking and the chasing and the resistance, and you surrender and admit, I'm going to die with a dream unfulfilled and it's okay, then happiness comes. Like, maybe I wouldn't even make it to this interview. It's a new city. I'm taking the Sydney rail. I don't know what I'm doing.
But you did it.
Yeah.
This is
but
what
I accepted I might not make it here and I might look foolish to you. You see, I accepted. I want to show up for this man and I want to have this interview. This is my dream, my small dream. My small dream is to travel on Sydney Rail and make it to this interview to chat with Mario. I really want to. I want to look good. I want to be a man of my word. But I am okay looking foolish, letting you down, and being a man who breaks his word. And because I was at peace with this, it empowers me to have a happy, peaceful journey. No one does this. Very few people do this.
Nobody speaks that way.
I would like them to do this, but it takes practice.
It takes practice.
Yeah. You do it on small things, like a Sydney rail.
I was just Googling now. I tried to find, but that's like, it was not prepared. But I remember I was reading Mike Tyson. As we all know, he was in prison in I think, 90s or 2000s. Don't hold me now exactly because I should have Googled, but I wasn't expecting we're going to talk about this one. Anyway, he's been asked about life in prison, and he says, in prison, I had a peace, I was quiet, and I didn't hear noise. And for me, it was like, I actually was referring, like all this buzz around, about, the competitions, the fighting, the hotels, the noise, the money and everything else. He didn't care. He said, like, I was in prison in peace. And now he's saying as well, like, if you accept opposite from happiness, you are in peace. I mean, who says that? I'm serious, like, because we are, like, I think that society is evolving, try to explain always the difference between revolution and evolution. So from point A to point B in evolution, we're going very slow. Revolution is very quick, right? So from point A to point B. But I think that there's so many external inputs in our brain and our life. We need to actually choose who we're going to side with. We're going to be seen or not seen. On social media, it's very unpleasant place. Right? Very unpleasant place. And what it is, I said like to myself, how somebody can take something intangible, which is a dream, packaging as a product and service, as those influencers, I say there should be a shame, because you said one thing I need to ask you. How was your health? How did you look after your health while homeless?
Yeah, it's a great question. Early on, when I was eating just croissants, my tooth fillings fell out and disintegrated because they weren't maintained or taken care of. And I started to worry or panic about my health. But I realized that my whole life, my cells have been good to me. My metabolism has been good to me. And I've been blessed somehow to have good health, like rarely ever sick, rarely ever unhealthy, always high energy. Yeah. How do I have this? I'm sure most people don't have this, but for 20 years, I didn't have a cold. I didn't have an injury. I didn't have a sickness or an illness. And so that track record of health bolstered my belief in myself. And I was like, I'm going to be fine. And so I lived on croissants, or I'd get a McDonald's sandwich and stretch it out for the whole day or whatever. And I believed that my body would deliver for me. I believed that my cells are chemical factories. They would take care of me. No matter what calories I put in, they're going to create. They're going to create the fat or the sugar or the protein that they need. And I don't know if you study Wim Hof, dude from the Netherlands. No. But he teaches his students to breathe away illnesses and cold showers and transform their cells and perform incredible feats, marathons in the Arctic or marathons in the desert. It's like he's teaching them to access the power of their cells. And I feel like I got a little taste of that, not from Wim, just in general, just from my positive belief in my body. Most people don't believe in their bodies.
So after all, you accepted your health, that your body is going to look after you. That's what you say, right?
Yeah, and more people could benefit from this. We are taught that we are frail and falling apart and aging and degrading and devolving. It's like, you can believe that if you want. You can believe scientists, you can believe doctors, Western doctors, or you can believe Eastern, or you can believe ancient teachings. But Jesus believed you could heal anything. Buddha, all these religions, these Muhammad, all these great prophets, these great men, they would teach you that what the average person believes is not ideal. They would teach you to have faith in bigger things and better things. Yeah. And one of the best things you can have faith in is the power of your trillions of cells to replace themselves and heal themselves. Study the books, study Wim Hof, study Norman Vincent Peale, Laughter is the Best Medicine. Study stories of people healing cancer or self-healing themselves. Who knows what you can do? Like, who knows what your cells can do? And during my homeless years, I was fortunate and blessed to somehow be healthy. So
That's inspiring. So tell us more about your eyes wide open.
Eyes Wide Open.
Yeah. Is that a book?
That's a podcast.
That's a
It's
podcast.
also a book. It's the world's first self-help coffee table book because I got sick of long, giant 300-page books that you barely learn anything.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
I'm a speed reader, and even I'm getting tired of reading this. Like, why can't you say what you need to say short? Be concise.
Yes.
People's attention is precious. People's time is precious. Don't waste their time on some fluff book. And you could argue, well, they need to make repetition to teach the lessons in. So, I don't judge. But all I know is I wanted a book that was short, sweet, and beautiful. And self-help books were long, boring, and ugly. So I made one. I made a short, sweet self-help book. And it was beautiful. I did the art myself. The pages are glossy. The text is brief. And each page is its own chapter. So there's 27 topics or 27 pages of different self-help ideas. One page is about death. Another is about sex. Another is about health, like this. And so we give that away at eyeswideopenfree.com. But that book is based on the podcast. So the podcast, every week we do an episode and we dive deep into a conversation with my girlfriend, Sin. And she asks me some question. We just filmed one on judgment.
Yeah.
The week before we filmed one on therapy. And so if you enjoyed the conversation we're having here now, imagine us talking for an hour about therapy. I don't know how you feel about therapy, but I bet we would have a good conversation about it.
No, absolutely. Look, there's not enough of you, mate. You know what I mean? But look, the ears has limitations.
Yeah, no, for
so
sure.
So we're gonna have another crack on you and I.
Yeah.
Because you see, I'll compare you to the very glorified ex-alcoholic psychologist, psychiatrist, Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, yes.
I listen to him.
He's from Toronto too.
Yeah, no, I listen to him and his stories and everything else. Look, it's when you're a psychiatrist, you know how to appeal to the masses and what to say, how to say, and you're going to look very smart and everything else. But your story is more powerful. And I'm hoping that Jordan Peterson will invite you on his podcast as well, because I said, despite of everything, I'm really loving how this guy works and everything else. However, your story is one of the most compelling stories I ever heard.
Thank you.
There was not a one moment in which you bitched and complaining about everything on anything.
Well, not out loud.
But
no, it was a blessing. It was all a blessing.
You know what I mean? That's the reason I ask you, how did you feel as a homeless person? How did your health and everything else? People forgetting those things. And I just want to say, guys, I'm going to put you in comment section below, J-Ryze.me website. I'm going to put you as well, eyeswideopen.com.
Eyeswideopenfree.com.
Eyeswideopenfree.com. I'm going to put you the comment section below, all the J-Ryze details. So feel free. And as well, if you're looking to be somebody with millions of followers, J-Ryze is your man. Jay, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.